Hi, I'm Mia, 30 years old, trying to keep my life balanced amidst the family chaos. Growing up, I always felt like the backdrop in a play where my sister, Sophia, took center stage. Our mom has a way of making everything feel like an audition for her approval. And let's just say Sophia always got the lead role. It's not Sophia's fault, though. She's been going through a tough time after her divorce. But somehow, Mom uses this as a reason to put more pressure on me. Just last week, during our dreaded Sunday family dinner, Mom slipped into her usual spiral. You know, Mia, maybe if you weren't so tied down, Sophia wouldn't feel so alone. It's not healthy for her to see you and him so settled. Her words were cold, aimed to sting, and I could feel them freezing me out. I don't understand why my marriage has anything to do with Sophia's happiness. Shouldn't we be supporting her and finding her own way? I tried to keep my voice even, but inside I was boiling. Oh, come on, Mia. Maybe loosen up a bit. Live a little, like Sophia. Take a break from him. She waved dismissively, as if my husband were some accessory I could toss aside. Mom, I'm not divorcing my husband just to make Sophia feel better. That's absurd. I finally snapped. Sophia, who had been quietly picking at her food, glanced up, her eyes flickering between us. You always do this, Mom shot back, her voice rising. You make everything about you. Think about your sister for once. The tension was thick, cutting through the air. But for once, Sophia spoke up. Actually, Mia has a point. Her voice was shaky but firm. I don't need her to be single to feel better. This isn't about me, is it, Mom? Silence filled the room. Mom's face tightened, her eyes narrowing as she turned to Sophia. So you're on her side now? The dinner ended in cold, clipped goodbyes. On the drive home, my husband reached over and held my hand, his silent support steadying me. But the weight of Mom's words sat heavy between us. After a long silence, he finally spoke, his voice careful. Maybe your mom has a point. If this keeps up, it could start affecting us. I sighed, watching the city lights blur outside the window. I know, but what can I do? She's my mom. I can't just cut her off, can I? He didn't answer, and we spent the rest of the drive lost in our own thoughts. The week after that disastrous dinner, tension was building like a storm. My phone buzzed incessantly with texts from Mom, each one more insidious than the last. Just heard from Janice, from book club. She saw him with someone at the cafe. They seemed close, too close. Thought you should know. I stared at the screen, disbelief turning into frustration. It was ludicrous, but the seed was planted, and that's all she needed. I needed answers, face to face. When I walked into Mom's house later that day, the air was thick with the scent of her rose candles, an ironic attempt at peace. She was in the kitchen, humming a tune, pretending nothing was wrong. Mom, we need to talk. My voice was firm. She turned, her face a picture of practiced concern. What's wrong, dear? Don't play dumb. The messages about my husband. Why are you spreading lies? Her response was cool, detached. I'm just looking out for you, Mia. People talk. I thought you should know. And you believe them without asking me? Without proof? You're trying to stir up trouble. My pulse quickened with anger. Trouble? No, I'm saving you from it. Maybe you're too close to see what's really going on. Just then, Sophia walked in, catching the end of our argument. What's going on? Mom's been spreading rumors that my husband's cheating based on some cafe gossip. I explained, barely containing my frustration. Sophia looked between us torn. Mom, why would you do that? If there's nothing to it, no harm done, right? But if there is, wouldn't you want to know? Mom's voice was the epitome of evasion. By breaking up her marriage over rumors? Sophia's voice rose in rare defiance. Is that how we handle things now? Mom played her victim card. I'm being attacked here for caring, for loving my daughters enough to make sure they aren't being deceived. How is that wrong? I grabbed my phone, my resolve hardening. This isn't love, Mom. It's control, and I'm not standing for it anymore. Sophia and I left together. The divide Mom tried to create between us now a bridge. As we stepped outside, the cool evening air chilled our heated faces. I'm sorry, Mia, Sophia said quietly, for not seeing it sooner. For everything. It's not your fault. We're in this together now, right? I squeezed her hand, a simple gesture filled with unspoken promises. The family reunion was supposed to be a celebration, a festive gathering at our ancestral home. But as the sun dipped lower, the mood shifted. like the quiet before a storm. Mom had orchestrated the perfect scene. Flowers, fairy lights, but underneath things were far from perfect. She clinked her glass, calling for attention. Family is everything, she began. It's about supporting each other, making sacrifices, like Sophia, who's come out stronger after her divorce. She smiled at Sophia, who managed a weak nod, then turned her gaze to me. Her smile faded. And then there's Mia, so settled in her little world she can't see beyond it. The murmurs grew louder, judgmental. I could feel every eye on me, the scrutiny like pinpricks on my skin. Really, Mom? Is this necessary? I said, my voice steady. Despite the turmoil raging inside her, Mom ignored me and pressed on. Imagine a world where we all just thought about our own happiness, no care for how it affects others. Mia could learn a lot from Sophia's courage, don't you think? Mom, stop. That's enough. Sophia's voice cut through the air, sharper than I'd ever heard it. The crowd gasped, stunned. Mom looked caught off guard, her well-rehearsed script suddenly disrupted. Why are you doing this? Sophia continued, stepping closer to me, forming an unspoken barrier between us and Mom. Why can't you just be happy for Mia? She's not living her life at anyone's expense. She's been supporting me more than anyone. Mom quickly recovered, her voice cold and calculated. So you think undermining me changes the truth? Mia is selfish, and you, Sophia, are blinded by sisterly love. I'm not blind, Mom. I see perfectly well, Sophia shot back, her usual calm replaced by a fierce defiance. It's cruel to use a family gathering to air your biased grievances. The family around us began murmuring, tension palpable as people chose sides. Mom raised her hands in a gesture of supposed peace. You're both my daughters, and I love you. But sometimes love means telling hard truths. Mia, you need to think about more than just yourself and your perfect little marriage. I looked around at the faces in the room, seeing confusion and concern mirrored in their eyes. My heart pounded with a mix of anger and an overwhelming need to defend my peace. Hard truths. No, Mom, you're using your toxic assumptions and calling it love. This is manipulation, not concern, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. I won't let you tear down my life because you're unhappy with the way I live it. Silence followed. It was heavy, charged, as everyone processed what had just happened. Sophia squeezed my hand, whispering, We'll handle this together. As conversations cautiously resumed around us, I knew what I had to do. This wasn't just about defending my choices anymore. It was about protecting my mental health and my marriage. A drastic change was necessary, and with Sophia by my side, I felt the strength to finally follow through. The days after the reunion were a whirlwind of whispered phone calls and quiet meetings between Sophia and me, united in our determination. We meticulously crafted a plan to reveal the truth about Mom's manipulations to the family. She always talks differently when she thinks no one else is listening, Sophia noted one evening as we sat with notes scattered across the table. Exactly, I replied, tapping my pen against my notebook. We need to catch her in the act. Show everyone the real Mom, the one we deal with behind closed doors. Sophia's eyes brightened as she scanned her laptop. What if we use a voice-activated recorder? We could hide it during your next one-on-one with her. I smiled. Perfect. She's invited me for tea on Saturday, thinking it's to mend fences. Little does she know. Saturday arrived, and with it, a knot of nerves in my stomach. The recorder was hidden in my purse, discreetly positioned to capture every word. Mom greeted me with her usual tight smile and ushered me into the kitchen. As we sat down with tea between us, she didn't waste any time. Mia, darling, I've been thinking about our little discussion at the reunion. I want to help you understand where I'm coming from. I nodded, my heart racing, knowing every word was being recorded. Go on. She continued, her tone laced with condescension. Sophia needs us now more than ever, and your stubborn independence could set a bad example. I'm only trying to look out for the family. And by looking out, you be trying to control my life, telling me how to be a wife. I kept my voice calm, steering her towards revealing more. It's not just about you, Mia. Sometimes we have to make sacrifices for the greater good. If that means adjusting your life, so be it. She leaned forward, her voice dripping with a fox sincerity that made my skin crawl. The conversation went on, Mom unknowingly laying bare her manipulative mindset. All caught on tape. The following week, We gathered the family again, this time under the guise of clearing the air. The tension in the living room was thick, everyone bracing for another showdown. But this time, Sophia and I were in control. "Thank you all for coming," I began, standing with Sophia by my side. "We believe it's important for everyone to see the full picture of what's been happening." I pressed play on the recorder and Mom's voice filled the room. Her cold words, her manipulation, the calculated way she tried to control my life, it was all laid bare. As the recording ended, the room erupted in murmurs of disbelief. Mom's face paled, her usual composure shattered. "Is this true? You've been manipulating your daughters like this?" Aunt Marie asked, her tone filled with disbelief. Mom stammered, her eyes darting to the shocked and disappointed faces around her. I was just trying to." "No, Mom, you were caught," Sophia said, her voice unwavering. "This is who you are, and it's why things need to change." As the family absorbed the revelation, their murmurs grew louder. One by one, they began sharing their own feelings, perspectives that had been suppressed for years. Sophia and I exchanged a glance. It was done. The truth had been revealed, not to punish, but to protect and heal. The path forward wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. The bonds between us, once strained by manipulation, could now be rebuilt on a foundation of honesty and courage. As the echoes of the recording faded, the room felt charged, waiting for Mom to respond. She stood visibly shaken, her usual poise crumbling under the weight of her exposed actions. I did it for the family," she stammered, her voice thin and unsteady. "To keep us together, to make us strong." Uncle John shook his head, his face etched with disbelief. "That's not strength, that's control. Manipulating Mia and Sophia doesn't keep the family together. It tears it apart." Aunt Marie added, disappointment clear in her voice, "You've always been the matriarch, yes, but this. We never imagined it went this far. Guiding your children is one thing. Controlling their lives is another." Mom's eyes darted around the room, seeking an ally, but found none. Even Sophia, her once staunch supporter, stood firmly by my side. "Mom, we needed you to be our support, not our puppeteer," Sophia said, her voice steady and resolute. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of hushed conversations and quiet reassurances among family members. All except for Mom, who sat isolated, the weight of her actions settling heavily around her. In the weeks that followed, the family dynamic shifted dramatically. Invitations to Mom were polite but distant, and her once central role in family decisions faded. She was invited out of courtesy, not desire, her influence now reduced to mere formality. During this time, Sophia and I grew closer, rebuilding the relationship that Mom had almost destroyed. We spent hours sharing our thoughts, fears, and hopes for the future, laying the groundwork for a bond no longer defined by rivalry or manipulation. One evening, as my husband and I hosted a small dinner with Sophia, he raised his glass, a light smile on his face. "To new beginnings and to family, the kind we build on trust and support, not manipulation." "I'll drink to that," I said, clinking glasses with him, then with Sophia. "We've been through a storm, but we're here, stronger and together." Sophia nodded, the candlelight reflecting in her eyes. "It's strange how things turned out, but I'm grateful. We could have lost so much more if not for the truth." As the night wore on, we talked about healing, not just for ourselves, but for Mom too, if she ever sought it sincerely. For now, though, it was about us, about setting the foundation for a future where manipulation held no sway. The ordeal had not only mended my relationship with Sophia, but also strengthened my marriage. My husband and I understood each other better now, our commitment deepened by the challenges we had faced together. We had weathered the storm and emerged with a resilience and clarity that bound us even closer.